say that the Nazi groups are funding some of these, I don't know, front organisations like Reclaim Australia? Where are the Nazi groups getting their money from? Where are they getting support from?
Look, I'm not sure. I think there's certainly if you can track back and if you start to look in terms of all the various groups, I guess the group that most people understand it fully, appreciate in terms of its size and so on, is probably the Klan. And the Ku Klux Klan. Now, there's been a lot of talk around the fact that the Klan has infiltrated into the higher echelons of American society. There are people who are at the legislature, there are people at the judiciary, etc., who belong to the Klan, and it's been well documented. John Lee Clary came to Perth some years ago. He was a former Klansman, former Klan leader. I met with John on a number of occasions on that visit. And one of the things that he told me, which has always remained a concern to me, is that he said he was surprised at the number of people in WA who had come to him and told him that they were Klan members.
Wow.
Now, I know that when I was the president of the advocacy body here, we certainly found 2 Klan outfits in WA. One was around the Birrabooka area, one was around the Harvey, Dunsborough area, Donnybrook area, sorry. So we know that they do exist here.
Yeah.
Are they at the same level that they are at in America? No, I don't think so. I think that they're much, much less influential here. However, there are other groups like the Q Society, and I have real concerns for the Q Society. Last Wednesday, just 3-4 days ago, they registered a political party here in Western Australia, and they'll be launching it officially in October. Gert Wilders is coming here to launch that party. It's the Australian Liberty Alliance. Oh. It is run by Anthony and Deborah Robinson, prominent people in Western Australia who believe very firmly in the anti-Islamisation of Australia, etc., or what they perceive to be anyway. So they're the sort of groups that, yes, okay, we have this funding and we have these other groups that are coming from overseas, but we have to be really concerned about these small groups that are growing. And if you go to some of the hills areas here, for example, you will go into shopping centres and you'll see the Q Wire document there. The Q Wire document is a newspaper put out by the Q Society, and that is sitting next to the community newspapers at these shopping centres. So people are picking them up and reading these things. So again, this whole issue around legitimising and getting into mainstream Australia to drag people into their net, that's the concern. So once you get that sort of coverage, then funding is not going to be an issue, because you will get, just by sheer numbers, you will get the funding coming to you. People who come, people who will pay to come and listen to a Gert Wilders. People like Gert Wilders, and quite rightly, the last time he came here, the Premier indicated that he was not going to get any government venue. I would hope that at this present time, when he comes in October, not only does the Premier say that he will not get any government venues, but I would like every mayor of every local government authority in Western Australia to say that they will not give him a venue because he preaches a message of hate. Gert Wilders should not be allowed to preach that message of hate. I'm a firm believer in the freedom of expression and free speech, but there comes a line that needs to be drawn that says you can have the freedom of speech, but you cannot cross over the freedom of speech into the incitement to hatred against anyone.
I mean, even the most, say, in the American Constitution, your First Amendment is not guaranteed if you're going to incite racial hatred or violence. So, I mean, it's unacceptable in Australia anyway, because we're even more particular about what you can say.
However, the issue that we face in Australia has been one that I've talked about and argued about and advocated about for a long time, is this issue around religious tolerance.
Yes.
The only state that has a Religious Tolerance Act is Victoria. They have a Multicultural Act, they have a Racial and Religious Tolerance Act. So we need to move to that. If you look at the human rights abuses that have occurred over the last 5 to 10 years, every one of those have occurred against, almost every one of those have occurred against people of Islamic faith. Therefore, we need to have religious protection. However, we will not go to that, and where I find a conundrum and a basic issue is that there are a couple of religions that have been classified as races, and they will qualify for protection. So the Jew and the Sikh have been classified as races, and they will fall for protection under racial hatred Act.
Yes.
But Islam, Hinduism, Catholicism, none of that is counted in it. I don't get that. I don't understand that, and I can't follow it.
Yeah, well, I mean, considering that people who identify as Jews and Sikhs are multiracial people too. I mean, they can't be classified as races, can they? I mean, you know, because you get white Sikhs.
And that's the issue. That the High Court in London has indicated that people of Sikh faith and Jewish faith are sufficiently different in racial characteristics to be classified as a race of their own. Now, I find that quite intriguing because
it's a bit eugenicist, isn't it?
Look, I could wear a turban and I could pass as a Sikh. Yeah. I have the beard, you know, it's easy enough for me to pass as a Sikh. So I just find that quite interesting. The Jewish one also is quite interesting because I do know of people who are Russian Jew, who are Israeli Jew, etc. But the question then comes down to, do they identify as a Jew first and then the ethnicity second, which then, you know, is an issue that we need to look at.
I mean, that's an incredibly complicated issue right there. I mean, there's scads and scads of this stuff that you can read about Jewish identity.
And the reason why we have not gone down the path, you know, the parliamentarians have spoken to me about this at length in the past, is that the reason why they haven't gone down the path of religion and religious protection is that their concern lies in the definition of religion. You know, if you want to take it to a ridiculous extent, at the time of the last census, I think people were being asked to identify their religion as Jedi.
Yes.
But is that a religion? Look, what I had proposed back to when Jeff Gallop was the Premier was that we can have that religious protection thing with an overriding, I guess, protection there to say that a case of that nature that's going to be taken through the courts has to be signed off by Parliament. So in each individual case, there should be a committee of Parliament that says that's a case that we will fight because that is a recognised religion, as opposed to a fringe religion that may not have any authenticity, if you like, but is important to the person practicing it.
Yes.
You know, so those are the sorts of things. You know, for example, would people who follow Sai Baba be considered to be following a religion? I suspect that there'll be a lot of people in India who would say yes, and a lot of people who would say no.
Yeah, there'd be a few people here. I actually know a few people who follow. Now for the news roundup. Gee, it was a busy week in news. We had Cecil the lion killed by a dentist in the worst case of tooth envy ever. And Robert Mugabe weighed in on the whole thing by saying that Walter Palmer, the guy who shot the lion, should face extradition back to Zimbabwe. I mean, Robert Mugabe, I think you're not really on the high moral ground, are you, Robbie? Robbie, didn't you eat baby elephants or something during your birthday celebrations? Oh, and here's the next one. Some of the Bin Laden family members were killed in a plane crash. I think if you're called Bin Laden, you shouldn't be hanging out with planes, ever. Probably cars, no. Camels, you might just be able to get away with it. Auto rickshaws, you might be fine. Dudes, don't get on a plane. Anyway, that was in Britain. The other thing that happened last week in Britain was some guy in the British House of Lords, the Speaker no less. What is it with speakers? Well, he was filmed apparently a while ago sniffing cocaine off a prostitute's breasts. I mean, it's probably something that we've all done on a Saturday night. So why is everybody so surprised at it?
See you later.